2021, four men got together to make a radio show that nobody asked for. This is the result.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio. I'm Michael Morris. Sitting with me, Scott Briley. Scott, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Stan Willis, who's filling in today, who is one of our most recommended shows is when Stan's here because we literally don't talk about what we're supposed to talk about. Stan, welcome back.
That's my life, man.
Yeah.
I'm always in the wrong place.
You'll fit in.
And my buddy Bill Warren, who I spend about 8 to 9 hours a day talking on the phone. Why we don't just meet up somewhere and do it faster, I don't know. Billy, how are you?
I'm doing great. And we don't do it because memories threw us out.
That is true. We will go to one restaurant during lunch period, and then all of a sudden, all the dinner people come in. They're like, "Are you leaving?" No,
we're closed.
Nope. Yeah,
nope. All you can eat's over. You have to leave now.
I'm really happy to have this crew
You've been
here
for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You leave now.
Yeah.
That's all you can eat here.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm excited because nobody here is really super sarcastic, so I know we'll treat this with total respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I text Stan. I think it was on a Friday or Saturday. That Epstein really didn't kill himself. Here's what I think is important, and I also wanted to bring Stan in from the law. First of all, Scott has a law degree. Stan is a practicing, somewhat lawyer.
We're always practicing. We never perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he might be building a deck. He's practicing law while he's doing that. But what I wanted to talk about was this case was such a big deal. And then it goes away because it's all conspiracy. But at the end of the day, what this is all about is influence, right? It's the stories we're seeing through the news and how we're being told this. The first thing I want to get into, though, from the law standpoint is the two guards that were supposed to be checking on our good friend, Mr. Epstein. Number one, only got 100 hours of community service for this, for not doing their job. The camera shows them searching for motorcycles to buy on the internet, furniture, sleeping for 2 hours of it. And here's my question, Lawbird. Tell me how in the hell, if I did something like this, I would be in federal prison and these people are only getting 100 hours. Is it because the woman looks like that girl from Precious, that movie, that huge thing? Is that why she's getting off? Because she's a big broad.
Well, I would guess that it's probably about whatever testimony it is they're going to provide. I mean, that's whatever it is that they know that the prosecutors think they're going to tell. That's what they're considering valuable enough to cut their sentences back, and they're not. I mean, that's what it's always about. Because the way prosecutors think is, we catch the little fish and then we use them as bait to get the big fish. And so you'll get the little fish and you'll scare them to death on all the evil things you can do to them. You'll sign a deal with them so they'll testify against the bigger guy, and then they'll cut a deal with the bigger guy to get the bigger guy. And that's kind of their pattern. So that's what's going on. Is they're just they think there's some information there.
But when you see that come across, and I send that article, right, from the law perspective, are you just saying this thing is much bigger than we ever thought?
Well, I thought that in the first place. Anytime you see people jumping and screaming, no, that's ludicrous. I mean, they call people conspiracy theorists, and that's supposed to be a slam. But a conspiracy just means that more than one person agreed to do something. That's all a conspiracy is. That's the definition. And literally everything that you have until it's proven is a theory.
That was well said. And really
yeah. Well, and it's interesting when you start really delving into how they break these cases down. You get that little person, the one person will turn. And I mean, obviously, this is how they got through all the mafia cases in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Now you never hear about them, right? They got through everybody. You get Sammy the Bull Gravano turning state's evidence. You know you got somebody big, and they're talking about all these people who are now flittering off. So, yeah, that's how you start with these tiny, one guard that wants to, I don't want anything to do with this. I just turned my head for $25. You know, that could have been all
For $25?
Well, you never know. I mean,
I would ask for
it
more than
doesn't take-
$25.
I would too, but you know,
You're the cheapest man on the planet.
I am. That is true. That is true.
Bill, you've always said you're a huge Jeffrey Epstein fan. What was your opinion? Maybe I shouldn't have said that on this show, but you've always said
He's always been an island guy.
Yeah. He loves to go on remote vacations.
Those
with
the private jet ride alone was worth it for him.
Yeah.
100%.
But Bill, when you and I deal in a totally different world than most people, where we are kind of in the media, like we're the Jerry Maguire of the media. Everybody else is doing the cool stuff, and we're the ones that are sewing the puppets together so you can see a show.
Yep.
So when you see this, we always talk about the sphere of influence. When you're seeing this, what's your take on it?
Kind of what Stan says. I mean, from the very beginning, I had doubts, and I traditionally don't call myself a conspiracy theorist because I think too many people fell down that path. But when it all went down, I said something. There's more to this story, a lot more to this story. Stan and I were talking about it a little bit beforehand. To me, yes, we're in the media per se, but the media influences. And what do I think? I think we get half the story most of the time anyway. And so I always take what I see and I'll draw my own conclusions, and we usually talk about those at Memories and
Right.
And come. We solve a lot we solve a lot of the world's problems. Don't we?
But the way we're getting there, we're not doing the regular math. We're like, and if this happens, and then 9/11 was an inside job, right?
Right.
So, but I think what's interesting is like we will all have side conversations about these things, and we're all like, of course, there's something wrong. But I see a lot of people that they let the news dictate what they believe. You know, and the next show we're going to do is literally on that. But it drives me nuts when someone will say, this is fact because they reported it in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. Who owns that? Because all they want you to do at the end of the day is buy that paper or watch that show night after night. There's not a lot of news. There's a lot of things that are packaged together to be news, but you can't have for a week straight the same subject and you're going to bring talking heads on. This influences people. What it does is influence them to buy things, right? When they see commercials, it's, I got to buy that because either I feel really good. When Trump was, that every day they were going to impeach him or he was going to be out, then you'd see people are buying motorcycles, cars, and all that. If you're watching MSNBC. On the Fox News side, it's you better buy this gold coin from the guy from Dallas 30 years ago because you better sink your money into this.
Well, don't forget about poor Mike Lindell. I mean, you needed that pillow.
I don't understand what's going on with that pillow. They are
nice pillows, I got to say.
See, now I sent that thing right back. I don't know.
I don't have that pillow, but I'll tell you what, I would support that small business guy because he is a whack job, what I've seen. I enjoy it. It's like the guy with the slap chop. I needed a slap chop. I don't even dice anything, but I wanted it because he made me feel better about life.
And then you heard what he did to his women friends. The slap chop to there.
The guy didn't get the name slap chop for no reason. That was his nickname.
That was his nickname, yeah.
So when we're looking at this from the outside world, like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say they always think lawyers are just chasing ambulances, right? And it's you guys are the bad guys. This is the system that's set up from the law point of view. You look at this and just go, this is crazy. This is going to be bad because you've got lawyers that are going to defend these pieces of human garbage. Right. No offense to them. That's
Who would be offended?
No, I mean, I'm not using their names, Anton and whatever. But when you're seeing this, you have to look at it on the other side and go, some poor bastard has to defend these people, right? How do you do that?
Well, criminal defense, I've never really done a lot of criminal defense. I've always done civil work, but criminal defense attorneys in our system is made to be adversarial. I mean, that's the point of it. It's an adversarial system. And because the system's so complex, everybody needs to be represented really to participate in the system. You can participate without an attorney, but that's just dumb. That's just dumb. It's very dangerous. I mean, it's like I think I said this last time, but I wouldn't sell my house without a realtor. I just wouldn't, and I'm an attorney. And when I've had occasions over the years to be involved in some kind of a lawsuit or something, you know what I did? I went and hired an attorney, and I didn't use one in my firm. I used somebody who was outside of the firm. because the system's complex and emotions get in the way. And so when it comes to criminal defense, I mean, everybody sees that as, well, your job is to get them off. Well, not necessarily. That's not necessarily what your job is. Your job is to make sure that they're treated fairly. And a lot of times that's making sure that they're getting a sentence that's appropriate for what their crime is. And a lot of times that's, making sure that the police actually did their work the right way, that they didn't cut corners or do something illegal in the process. Because, at the end of the day, if we don't defend those things, I mean, nobody cares about searches and seizures until you get pulled over and you got cops going through your car for no reason. Then everybody's like, well, this is illegal. Yeah, but you didn't care when they did that to the drug dealers.
Well, that's
Right, that's the one thing we always call the slippery slope. You hear that word from day one in law school, and it's just from there, because everyone wants to say, well, you caught the man with a knife halfway out with blood still dripping. Of course he's guilty. He doesn't need an attorney. Well, that's just not really the case. Right. There have been cases that we've both read, where someone did pick up a bloody knife and was not the killer, but you're going to look really guilty. We don't want to have the people not go through the process and not get a fair trial, because then everything becomes unfair. You have to allow the system to work itself out. And no matter how much you hate that person that's going through the process, they still have to have it, from Manson all the way down to the, DUI that you do.
Which Manson? Marilyn Manson or Charles Manson?
Well, Charles, I was thinking of originally, but I guess Maryland's on that same path. So,
well, because he's being sued also.
Well, I guess, a lot of women don't like him.
I don't know why. He's such a gentleman. So let's take this from the Epstein piece to where we're at now, where Mr. Humanitarian, William Gates, as he's going through this divorce, he was propped up as, this guy's the hero. We've got to, whatever he says, we got to do. Well, in the last couple of weeks, that's changed. So public perception is trust the science, right? That's the phrase. And then trust Bill Gates, because obviously a guy who builds computers is the science, apparently. Right. Well, now all of a sudden the media is turning on them, which is changing perception of what you just told us. Now, people have this short-term memory issue where it's like this recency bias, like, I'm cool with this. You find out the reason that Epstein is such a big player is Gates wanted to win a Nobel Prize. So who makes that introduction? Epstein. Right. How powerful is this guy that you have to have him involved? But before that, we never heard that name. It was kind of like a rumor. I remember with the Clintons, it was a big deal. And I thought, who is this guy? I have no idea who he is. Right. Now when it comes out, all the connections he has and this wonderful island he has, that all these great things happen. Now you're looking at it and the media has told you who to trust. Now they're saying, but don't trust him anymore. Right. You're changing what we believe in. So then people are going to look at Microsoft and these other big companies, and now they're our enemy. What is the end goal here?
Right. Hey, let's not forget Mrs. Gates bought her own island to keep away from all of the
First of all, have you seen what's going on with her face in the last 10 years? Mm-hmm. She's starting to look like Fred Munster. I would buy my own island. I'd hide away. And Fauci's wife is no better. They got like 7 more women. They got a nice looking softball team. I'm just saying, I don't think you can trust any of these people. And I think that the media has built credibility on the people that do not deserve it. And it is based on power and money. But yet they're shoving it down your throat as these are the people we've got to follow. When they get into legal issues, they're not judged the same way that you and I are. No, because they can buy their way out. And that's why people say that the law doesn't work for them. Mm-hmm. Do you see that is a fair representation, that the more money you have?
I think the problem with our justice system is that it takes resources to have access. And that's just the fact. The fact is that most attorneys don't work for free. We get paid. We get paid well.
That's selfish, but go on.
It is selfish, somewhat.
Michael works for free.
But,
I always work for free.
At the end of the day, we talked about this last time. At the end of the day, you got to make a living, right? So everybody has to make a living. So access is difficult. That's why we have all these pro bono organizations, and we have these legal clinics and things like that. And that's why in the criminal world you have appointed attorneys and public defenders, because people can't afford to go out and hire an attorney to get the access to the system. But the long and the short of it is, if I'm a billionaire, I can afford to hire a whole bunch of really good attorneys who are going to find a way to get my sentence reduced or get me a better shake than everybody else is getting, because I can afford it. And that's what the money does for me.
Well, and the affording part of it, to me, the most interesting thing is you inundate the small guy with so much paperwork. You know, you ask for discovery, and the guy with all the money said, you send him everything for the last 20 years. And I saw that movie regarding Dow Chemical and the one guy that went against them, and they sent him a semi-load full of paper, and it's one guy.
Right.
Whereas the guy that has all the money, they're like, I got 47 lawyers and 200 paralegals that can go through all this information. Right. So yeah, send all you want. So that's where the money really comes in. I don't think it's so. You can have a lawyer that went to night school at our local college here that can be just as good and win just as many cases as someone that came out of Harvard.
Right.
But the money is going to come in where you can inundate the other side with so much paper and so much garbage and constantly do that, where the process does not get to work. You grind it to a halt.
Right. Makes sense.
Well, I want to go back to Stan said access, and the reason I want to go to Scott is he has no access to anything. So Scott doesn't have any social media at all. So, but I want to work this back because we all use our social media platforms for work-related things, family, whatever.
Now I know I got invited, so I could get picked on. That's
Well,
fair.
no.
That's fair.
That is why you got invited to the first 4 shows, not this one.
Oh, okay.
What I want to talk about is deplatforming, or the use of Twitter, Facebook, because I don't know if you guys saw the Project Veritas. They did a, what I want to, when you put somebody behind the black screen type thing and change their voice. What do you call that? Why are you looking at me like you're a former lawyer and you can't come up with that name? Anyway,
I'm not a former. I always get to be a lawyer, but I'm just not your lawyer.
Say that phrase, because I hate it when you say it, but I want you to say it out loud.
I say that all the time. People go, "Are you a lawyer?" Yes, I am, but I'm not your lawyer.
Yeah, but I constantly get free advice, and he goes, "But don't listen to that because I'm not your lawyer."
Right, that's not.
And then I go, "My lawyer said this."
Yeah.
I want to get into the deplatforming because these insiders turned and talked to that, whatever his name is, from Project Veritas. And they literally are changing the algorithms as it goes for people that are anti-vax, that are people that are anti-government. They know where you're going, what you're looking for information. They're feeding it to you, but they're also deplatforming you. So I want to know how you can legally boot someone off of a free platform for expressing themselves, but you can push in this algorithm. You can push people that are pushing garbage to the top. Bill wants to answer that because he's Mr. Algorithm.
Yeah.
I can't even spell algorithm.
That's actually
his wife calls him Mr. Algorithm. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I always heard that. You know how they got the name algorithm? Who invented the internet?
Oh, Al Gore.
Algorithm. So that's where it came from.
Fair enough.
So it's a little fun fact. I've won a couple drinks actually.
That was so bad it was funny.
Yeah. I know, it was horrible.
So was his time in the White House.
I don't understand it, and I work with digital marketing, social media, all that. This is kind of, for me, it's a hot button just because I think it's so messed up. And it goes back to, again, not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but it goes back to the media pushing their agenda and what we want people to believe, feel, and to do. You talk about Epstein and over the years, and Bill Gates, and how all the media's pushed these people out in front of us and kind of put them on a pedestal. They know there's crap. They know they all got to have skeletons in the closet. They know there's corruption behind it somewhere. They know it's going on, but they don't ever talk about it, right? They're put on a pedestal until they get caught. And then it comes out, and then the media's like, "Oh my gosh, we were so surprised by this." It happened when the first time Trump won. Right?
It's like all the people that voted
Wait,
for
did
Trump.
you hear what he just said? The first time Trump won?
Well, the only time Trump won.
So true.
It's foreshadowing. Maybe it's
We know
foreshadowing.
what you're saying. Yeah. 81 million people showed up to vote.
Yeah, but
2,112,000
even then,
years
it was going back to the media. It was, he was already a loser before anybody cast the first vote at the poll that day. And then they were all sitting around figuring out, how did this happen? Well, they knew how it happened. But the media doesn't usually take ownership for it. So this is just a hot button for me.
But let's flip it around. You know how that worked, right? The Clinton campaign, they called it the Pied Piper strategy. Feed everything towards Trump because he's the one that doesn't matter. Well, when you're giving him 2 hours, like they were covering press conferences if he was at like an Auntie Anne's pretzel at the mall, film him, do everything. So then all of a sudden he's elevated. They think they're going to win. And then when it comes to issues, they didn't know what his issues were.
Right.
And he was really being serious. Yeah. And they were like, don't worry about it. And 30 days before, they're like, we should probably change. Here's another thing about slogans, right? What was Hillary Clinton's slogan? This is the problem.
I'm with her.
In the beginning, it was better together.
I think it was Bill did not have sexual relations with that woman.
No, that was his. He's still saying that.
Or is that the wrong? Yeah. No.
Was that change with her or stay with her?
See, this is the problem about messaging. Yeah. It was I'm with her.
I'm with her.
Now the problem becomes.
I thought that was actually a whole different meeting with her, but I digress.
Well, that wasn't Bill or any of his family. They were not with her. But what happens is when you change the messaging, you don't have enough time because what you just did, like Trump's was make America great again. That's all of us. When you change the message to I'm just with this person, now it's like, do I like this person? No longer is it about politics.
No.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Women did not like
Speak for yourself.
My wife said, I'm so excited we have a woman candidate, and I'm so unhappy that it's that one because I won't vote for her.
Well, a lot of people said that, but there were a lot of people that were solidly in her corner. I mean, somebody that worked for me up in Michigan literally threw on a pantsuit to look like her when she went to vote. And
Governor Whitmer, is that who it was? She worked for you?
No,
I voted Libertarian in that election, I guess.
Okay, but let's also look at it this way. But that's another thing. How many times does the media tell you that a third party candidate can't win?
Yeah,
right?
They do it all the time.
So they tell you all the time. So it's like I have people tell me it's a waste of time.
That guy went on 60 Minutes stoned, though. I gotta love that. So
you're assuming that he had something wrong with his cornea and he was just trying to fix it in his car.
I'm sorry. Like Eminem on Monday Night Football or whatever that was.
That was one of the best things.
Oh, that was
ever.
the greatest thing.
His eyes were
wide
wide
Monday
open.
Night Football was Saturday Night Football.
Yeah.
Herb Street kept looking at him like, "What are you talking about?"
God,
that was
can
awesome.
You imagine
one of my favorite.
Herb Street has to like to look at that with all of his illegitimate kids. Anyway, allegedly, you're a lawyer. You're supposed to say allegedly. You're looking out
allegedly.
For me. Okay, thank you.
And again, I'm a lawyer, but not your lawyer.
On this show, you're my lawyer. Even though Stan's here, he's too far away. But again, going back to this, messaging makes a difference because if you look at the pandemic, my favorite quote from all this is, the pandemic did not drive you to the grocery store. Commercials did. It created a panic. You better get toilet.
Right.
I didn't understand the toilet paper thing at all, maybe because I got one ass, but it was like people were buying reams of this like it was going to be gone forever. I didn't understand that, but it's like every storm. Go get milk, bread, and all that. Who's making milk sandwiches?
Well,
You're running out
food. How many honest to goodness cans of green bean do you eat in a year? Right. And people have 12 cases. They won't eat this in 100 years.
Right.
I mean, if there's an apocalypse, that's where you go. That person's there.
But again, I'm saying that the media is telling you, and I'm not trying to be anti-media. I'm just saying you're being exposed to a lot of messages that are telling you to do something. It's like that dog ringing the bell. It's like there's a storm, there's this happening. You better get out and buy this product. Well, of course, the price of toilet paper went through the roof and you couldn't find it. And then people were ordering it off Amazon. Amazon was the only one that did double figures during this pandemic. Double figures growth year over year. Yep. They were 40%. Everybody else, the highest outside of that was Walmart at 2%. Because everybody got laziness and, you can have this at my door, I'll do this. And Amazon never stopped advertising their products at all. Digital, TV, radio. And they pounded it to the point where you don't have a choice. You can't get away from it. And nobody's there to protect you from this. Scott, you're a big Amazon guy, aren't you? You're very wealthy, well-to-do.
Oh, yeah. That's my wife's the big Amazon person. We do get plenty of Amazon packages on a daily basis, though, yes.
Like, are you a Bezos guy? I like the idea in the beginning when he was just selling books. And like,
I did too.
This guy's up 24 hours a day trying to sell you like Jane Eyre books.
That was what I was on there for, was books in the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Is he a good guy?
Nah, I don't think so.
I will say anybody that has a $600 million government contract with the weapons division, probably not a good guy.
Probably not. Probably not the sweetest person, But, I mean, definitely one of the richest.
Bill, I know we're not going to talk about algorithms today, but
You guys,
Now it's changed.
you
I
know,
like it. I
every
like it
one of you is
better
going to be
now.
using that
I'm
going
never
forward.
going to change it.
No,
And you're
it's
welcome.
always going to be an
You're welcome.
algorithm.
I'm just going to say you're welcome.
The
You're
way
going
I'm
to be
going to
using
start
it going
every
forward.
conversation off with a young lady is, you know about algorithms, don't you? And she'll be like, what? And I'll be like, let's just go home. So when you look at the digital side of things in the last, let's just take 5 years. In your business, that's all you see is people looking at this. The test case for Amazon shows that it works.
Right.
But you've got to get on that super highway, which no one uses that term anymore.
Right.
You've got to get in there to play. What is the thing that people ask you the most about when it comes to web traffic and all that?
I don't know if there's anything that's the most, because there's so much confusion with it. You know, I think when I meet with most businesses, and Amazon's a great example. The reason they're successful, when you ask a lot of people, they'll say, well, you can buy anything there. That's factual. That's not why they're successful. Their prices are always really competitive, which isn't 100% true, right? The reason is they are simple to use and they make it easy and seamless for the customer. You know, I always tell customers, be found, be chosen, be easy to work with. Amazon's perfected that process. Whether you're buying a product or even returning a product, if you've ever had to return one through Amazon, it is painless.
Right, and I think Kohl's partnered up with them. So
They did.
if my
So-
wife gets something she doesn't like, literally goes to the Kohl's down the street, returns it, and that's a pretty
Yep.
brilliant idea.
Well, what's brilliant
You don't even
is
have to.
you used to
wrap it
walk
all
into
back up.
Kohl's and go right to the customer service counter, but they've moved it to the back of the store. So now you have to walk past everything, take your package in, and walk all the way back out. The likelihood of you doing that without looking or buying something, pretty slim.
Bill, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, and I think that's where we're going
It
to end
is.
it for
That's the
this
only.
week.
That's my only true conspiracy theory is around Kohl's.
I want to keep our. That's your whole moral being is based on the conspiracy theory of Kohl's.
Yeah.
Good. I don't know. We have a trend here where we always want to end on absolute failure or bad news. Does anybody have anything bad to report for the week?
Anything bad to report?
Oh wow! you put us on
Jonathan
this-
likes to end the show where he just says something that we probably could have left off, or it's horrible news, and it's just like, why did you bring up that dog dying type thing? And then we're out of time. So I figured we're 7-8 shows in a row. We got to end on a down note. Jonathan's in the back corner right now. Jonathan, any horrible thing?
No new clients have died, so
Oh yeah, that's the
Oh,
other thing.
yeah,
Jonathan's
yeah. Have a
clients
client
are
die.
constantly
He's had
dying off.
4 clients in the last 2 months. I told him, I said,
He
there's
keeps-
no way I would use you. It's horrible luck.
You know when you go
He's
out in the
worse than-
summer and you catch
he's
those
worse than
fireflies
COVID.
and you
He
don't poke
is.
the holes? That's Jonathan's clients.
Yeah, they're going to come out with a meaning vaccine.
Yeah.
But but I will say, in his defense, I've never seen a guy who cares more about his clients and their families when that moment comes. I'll tell you what, I've been really impressed.
Wow.
And I was
Wow,
going
that
to
was
say
really
that before
nice,
you
yeah.
walked in, because I know you won't be able to get out the door with that head now. I know that, right?
Yeah. Wow.
every day is a struggle.
I see.
Recent slides.
Yeah.
So now we're just going to end the show on a goddamn lie. All right, that's it for Broad Street Radio. We will see you next week.